Some new information coming in now, with lawmakers in 10 states pushing for the right to carry guns on campuses. Some say this is so women can protect themselves from sexual assault. Others say this is also a way to perhaps avoid a tragedy like the one at Virginia Tech by arming students. Let's bring in Fox News judicial analyst Judge Napolitano with his thoughts on this. Judge, what do you think of this? Could students be armed legally on campus?
Well, I am a strong supporter of the right to keep and bear arms, and the Supreme Court's most recent opinions on it indicate that it's a fundamental personal right. And we're not talking about children. We're talking about people who have attained majority. They're over the age of 18. So as a constitutional and legal matter, we start with the premise that students have the right to carry guns because they are adults. And we start with the premise that where there are more guns, there's less crime, because criminals and thugs and crazy people fear getting shot by their victims. However, this changes depending upon where the college is and who owns it. So let's take Princeton University, for example. It's a private university, and it can control whether or not you can carry guns on its property. Let's take Rutgers University, for example. It's owned by the state. It cannot control how you exercise your fundamental liberties on its property. That's the difference. Who owns the dirt? Who owns the real estate?
And then can you actually go further, Judge, for private universities? Could you be allowed to carry in certain spaces but not others? And could that be determined as well by the university solely?
You know, these are issues, they're great questions, Jenna. These are issues that the courts have not yet looked at. And there are examples of people bringing guns to campus and shooting back at these crazy people, like at Virginia Tech, or 2 generations ago, the University of Texas, an English professor actually had a deer rifle in his office, and he started shooting at the top of that tower, and that prevented the shooter from being able to use his weapon. How the courts would view this, I don't know. Some would say students are children, this is a haven, we have enough protection for them. Others would say, what are you, crazy? Students are victims, it's like shooting fish in a barrel, and besides, the girls are getting raped.
Well,
let them defend themselves.
Let me ask you, when you talked about the premise, I was curious about this. Some lawmakers feel like there could be an opening, or at least that's what's alluded to in the New York Times, that if they talk about campus sexual assault, it might be more likely to allow guns on campus for that reason versus the reason that this could stop a mass shooting. What do you think? Does the motivation for allowing guns matter here? And how do you think that could be applied?
Well, the motivation matters because it would be easier politically to arm people in order to protect themselves from sexual assault, because we all know sexual assault is rampant on colleges, and women are having a difficult time protecting themselves. But it should also be an argument in favor of the right to keep and bear arms for whatever reason you would bear arms, which is, again, to stop a killer from killing innocents. But your premise is an excellent one. I think that's an easier argument for even liberal politicians who are not fond of gun rights to accept.